let's go to this last topic because we're going to go for 10 more minutes. But the downside of Jimmy Garoppolo is not worth it to me. The downside of Jimmy Garoppolo potentially getting hurt, it's not worth the upside that Jimmy Garoppolo presents. And specifically, let me run you through this scenario, Vinny. If the 49ers, let's say, start Jimmy Garoppolo week 1, he gets injured week 2, which is very likely. It's not unlikely. It's very much a possibility. 49ers would be on hook for all of his money for this season, no matter what, and they would be on the hook for half or more of his money for next season. So then you're talking about the 49ers. We just talked about the 49ers Super Bowl window. To me, Vinny, this is the reason why I'm so adamant that the 49ers have to cut bait from Jimmy Garoppolo, is because I think Jimmy Garoppolo can bring the 49ers, if this bad scenario does happen, you can bring them from contenders to just a playoff team. I honestly believe that could be the difference between the two, that Jimmy Garoppolo, because of the cap implications, because of him getting hurt, because of that scenario potentially happening, that isn't unlikely at all. In fact, I think it's more likely than not that the downside that Jimmy Garoppolo presents, I think the 49ers are playing with fire if Jimmy Garoppolo is on the roster. I honestly do. Because to me, like I said so many times, Jimmy Garoppolo is like the 19th best quarterback in the NFL. So for paying him as the 5th best guy right now, it's just such a problem that the 49ers like they have the option to get out of it, Vinny. And I've called the Jimmy Garoppolo contract a good contract before, and I'll say this: it's a good contract if the 49ers are willing to take the out in his contract. That's my biggest issue right now. If the 49ers aren't willing to take the out in Jimmy Garoppolo's contract, why the hell is it even there? It doesn't matter for the 49ers. That's the frustration I have right now with this team, is that if they just go along saying, oh, yeah, it makes a ton of sense to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, hey, look at all this stuff, right? Jimmy Garoppolo is a winner. The point is that with the salary cap in general, everything is so relative that the potential downside of Jimmy Garoppolo getting hurt, of Jimmy Garoppolo potentially splitting the locker room, of Jimmy Garoppolo potentially losing games for this team and committing a lot of turnovers is not worth. It's just not worth it to me anymore, Vinny.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that, and I'm not just pro Jimmy just because I got the Italian flag behind me and I'm Italian American and Jimmy's Italian American and all that. But I mean, I think they're being very diligent with this move, and I think there's definitely some fair points that you made, but I think it's just a matter of like going, and it's hard to, based on evidence that we've shown, it's hard not going into the season thinking that there's a chance that Jimmy doesn't get hurt. And I guess most of my hesitancy in moving on from him just comes from just the context of just this season. In terms of this season, I think they should keep him next year when you can. Like, I think you can, but $50 million extra does sound very, very enticing. But does that, outweigh, them potentially winning or losing games this season? Because as like Parag Marath and the front offices have shown, they find a way to make the money work. And in some ways, like, it is going to be ultimately it will be on the players to be worth that value. But they have made some friendly, contracts to where the money isn't a big issue. Like it could have been. Like, it could have been a lot worse with the money and everything. But I just think there is something there with Garoppolo. I think it's more towards the tail end, though, like with a lot of fans, just because it is, you have a nice brand new shiny toy in Trey Lance and you want to see that. Yeah. And you did, like you mentioned, you did invest all this draft capital and all that. And, like I mentioned before, if he is ready and he's prepared, he should start week 1. Like, there's no reason for you not to start it, especially if he is better than Garoppolo in camp and he is heading towards that direction. So, I just think the perception of him would be a lot different if he didn't get hurt as much.
I agree with that.
And if he wasn't like, it's not his fault that he made $27 million. Like why?
No,
and I don't think there's a scenario personally where he takes a pay cut, because why would he?
No, I agree with that.
What reason would you have to take a pay cut, especially with what
he's had every opportunity to take a pay cut so far. If it would have happened already, the 49ers
would have been done by now.
It would have been done by now. I agree with that point specifically.
So I think it's just going to be a clean slate.
But let me run you through this, Vinny. In order to maximize the 49ers Super Bowl potential, I think they have to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo, unfortunately. Because in my mind,
I think eventually, yeah. I mean, maybe that comes sooner rather than later for some. Like it seems like for your end, it seems has to come.
But what I'm saying is that to maximize it the most, you have to do it sooner rather than later, because it is a timing issue with the 49ers, to where you hang on to Jimmy Garoppolo for too long. There are some financial issues that you could have down the line. You mentioned that Prague has done a great job. I agree. It's not that the 49ers have done a bad job mismanaging their cap. In fact, they've done a decent situation managing their cap. And in fact, that's why I think they should have even more of a reason to cut Jimmy Garoppolo before the season, because in my mind, the 49ers, if they pull this off the right way, they can become Super Bowl contenders, I think. But beyond that, I think they can build a much better team than they did in 2019 if they do this the right way. And if they, I'll run through the scenario for everybody, because I've mentioned it a million times. I'm like the flag bearer of this position. This is my thing. If this happens, Vinny, I'm gonna feel so vindicated. But for the 49ers cut Jimmy or trade him before week 1, roll over the money to next season. I'm just explaining this for everyone at home if you haven't already heard. If they do this the right way, the 49ers can not only have the extra money that they wouldn't pay Jimmy Garoppolo next season, but they would have another $23 million on top of that money. So if we're talking about building a Super Bowl contender for the 49ers, if we're talking about a team-building perspective, if we're talking about maximizing the potential of this roster, like we've been talking about with Trey Lance, maximizing those 2 through 4 years for his contract, the way to do that, in my opinion, is to spend as much in free agency next season as possible and load this team up where you have a wide receiver 3, you have another cornerback, you get another edge defender, so where the 49ers will not just have a great rookie and a really great playmaker in Trey Lance, but they'll have, in my opinion, they can build the best roster in the NFL. And that's why I want to do things this way, because I think the 49ers have the potential to do that. And what I'm saying is that you can win a Super Bowl if you keep Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster eventually. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying you could build a dynasty if you pull this off the right way. And that's what I want the 49ers to do specifically. I think they could win 2 to 3 Super Bowls with Trey Lance in the first few years that they have him, if they pull this off the right way and cut bait from Jimmy Garoppolo before week 1. And